Right guys, welcome now to Tech Tuesday, your weekly look at everything to do with technology within golf. I'm going to look at two main talking points today. First of all, the new Titleist iron range has been announced and it looks really good. And the fact that maybe Nike golf clubs weren't so bad after all. And we will start with the fact that Nike golf equipment is still on tour and it is still winning titles. So first of all, we're going to check in with Tommy Fleetwood, who based on this year's results alone would be ranked second in the world. He is an absolute fairway and green finding machine this year, and he is still pretty much predominantly using his Nike clubs that he was contracted to before Nike stopped making golf clubs last year. So he's still using the Nike Vaporfly driver 8.5 degrees, and he's also using the Nike Vaporfly Pro fairway woods. He's then also still repping the Nike VR Pro irons. And when you watch Tommy Fleetwood play, there is one thing which is for sure: his greens in reg and his fairways found percentage is absolutely unbelievable. He was ranked first in greens in regulation at the French Open, which he's just won, and he's been ranked pretty much at the top of the rankings as far as greens in regulation and fairways in regulation is concerned for the entire season. And we're lucky enough to spend some time with Tommy Fleetwood at Abu Dhabi, the event that he won back in January, and we're talking through a little bit about his bag, and he was simply saying that he's not found a more consistent driver than his Nike. And that is interesting. If you consider the amount of clubs that these guys get thrown at them on a weekly basis, especially when you start to get to someone like Tommy Fleetwood's stature now, and golf club manufacturers are going to be chomping at the bit to try and get him signed up. But he said then, and he certainly seems to be saying now in no uncertain terms, just by the way that he's playing, that he doesn't need to switch, that the clubs he is using are absolutely perfect for what he needs to do. And it just goes to show, I mean, we're talking from a tour validation standpoint, but also this filters down to the rest of the game and us being mortals. But the actual Nike range that they started to make before they stopped making them was actually fantastic. It was really good. So for all the bashing that Nike were getting throughout their entire history of creating golf clubs, some things were bad, some things were really bad. Think about the Sasquatch, God, that made a noise. But it's nice to see that the hard work that they put in, especially near the end, in really going a little bit strange with some of the things that they were trying to incorporate within their clubs, is still paying dividends for some of these players. Even at the Quicken Loans, where Cal Stanley ended a 5-year drought to win in a playoff against Charles Howell III, who, by the way, how has he not won more stuff? And Cal Stanley was still rocking a covert 5-wood. And I think this is the question that I want to throw back to you guys, and also I want you to get in those comments as well. What are the real outstanding old pieces of equipment that the Tour Pros are still using? So what you've seen, the players that you've seen, I mean obviously Stenson's a fantastic example with his Diablo 3-wood, but what are the other examples that are out there of Tour Pros using really, well not really old, but older clubs to still be very, very successful? Now this doesn't actually mean anything. Nike aren't going to be re-entering the golf club market anytime soon, or at least I don't think they will be. But it does just go to show that the quality of golf clubs that have been produced within the last 3 to 4 years are still 100% valid today. And if you have one of those Nike drivers just sitting in your bag thinking you might need a change, just look at one of the best players in the world at this moment in time, absolutely drilling it, and maybe understand that it's probably more golf swing than anything else. And now we move on to the news that Titleist are bringing out a new iron range, and it's a very comprehensive iron range, and that's going to be coming out later on this year around the autumn. I think with some of the golf clubs which are being released at the moment, I'm a little bit cynical about them. I mean, I like trying them, I do like shiny new things, there's absolutely no doubt about it. But I think with Titleist, they still have quite a lot of credibility in the terms that their cycle of clubs that they bring out, whether you agree with fast cycles, so a Callaway or a TaylorMade model, or you agree with slower product cycles like Titleist have, that doesn't matter. But when Titleist bring clubs out, because there's been quite some time between releases, it's always quite exciting to see what they're going to be coming out with. And for anyone who's hit Titleist irons before, they know that they are really good. They're up there for me as some of the top irons out there. Obviously I've not hit these ones yet, I don't know what these are like, but I am looking forward to getting my hands on them. And to take you through the range, and like I said, it's quite a comprehensive range that they're bringing out. So they've got updated versions of the AP1, they've got an AP3 iron, which on the face of it looks like it's going to be sitting in between the AP1 and the AP2. Admittedly, that doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. Titleist have made a couple of weird ones this year. Like they've brought out the Titleist Pro V1X, which is actually travelling less distance than the Pro V1. Anyway, that's another story. So you got the new AP3, which is probably going to sit in between the AP2 and the AP1 as far as the head density, as far as the forgiveness that gives. And then you've got the TMBs, you've got the CBs, and then you've got the MBs as well. And don't they just look so shiny? I mean, if I was a magpie, I would be all up in that. All up in that. And you started to see a lot of photos circulating on social media. I know Ian Poulter did quite a lot on Instagram about these irons, about them being tested by the Titleist Tour staff as well. And although we don't seem to have that much information at the moment, you know, we can surmise a little bit about what's going to be coming out. Hello, Peter Finch speaking. Hi Ryan, you okay? Yep, that's fine. Okay, good. Super. Awesome, that's great. Cheers, Ryan. So yeah, just had an offer on a house accepted, which is cool. So probably come October time, I'll be moving office. So now I really like the look of these irons. Now I'm in a great mood. So a lot of stuff's been posted, like I said, on social media. But also Golf WRX done a really good article on this, just detailing a lot more about these irons. I'll read some excerpts from this as well, but I do recommend you obviously go on the website and check it out as well if you want to read through the full beefiness of this article. I don't know, I'm just really excited now. Just looking at these irons, obviously the one that appeals the most to me is the Titleist MB, which is more of the bladed version of the iron. It looks really, really classic. It looks very, very cool. Not a massive departure on the face of it from what Titleist have done in the past with their blades. I remember that type of styling from when I first bought a set of Titleist blades back in college. Crikey, that was a hell of a long time ago. But they look very, very similar. And you know what you're going to get from Titleist. It's going to be a good feeling, lovely solid iron that's going to look super, super small when you put it behind the ball, good for shaping shots, and one I really want to try. You've got the CBs, which are just a slight step up from that, so very similar from a top line perspective, just slightly bigger, but also giving you a little bit more forgiveness in the back of the club as well. But again, that is based more at the better players, being the forged iron, being that smaller head. And you probably see a lot of players start to look at getting, if they did want to put the MBs in the bag, maybe filtering some of the CBs into the longer irons. However, one of the most popular irons on tour from Titleist is the AP2. And this looks really cool. I have to say, that AP2 iron, I really like the look of that. It's, again, a similar type of styling, just slightly bigger, but more of a compact head design. It's tough to describe how you see an iron because it is very, very individual to you, but I would be very tempted by those AP2s. They look great. Then you have this AP3, which, again, don't quite get why they've called it the AP3, it just doesn't seem to sit right, but for whatever reason that's what they've done, and it does look good. You know, it sits in between what you would expect the AP1 and the AP2 to do, because the AP1 does look slightly bigger, slightly chunkier, it'd be the low spinning, high launching iron, the AP1, and the AP3 would be that gap in between the AP1 and the AP2. You see how silly it sounds? And then you've got the TMBs, which you'd imagine, especially when you start to get down to the 4 and the 3 iron, could be equivalent to a little bit more of a driving iron. You imagine that one being very springy off the face. And I'd love to know what you think, guys. Are you excited about Titleist iron launches? I know it's one of the few things that I get excited about, so maybe I have a predetermined bias towards this, but I'd love to know what you think. And also what you think are the best irons out there on tour. I know Mizuno are many people's favourites, but I've always lent towards Titleist for whatever reason. So I like the look of them, even though some of the names seem a little bit silly and the order seems a little bit silly, but I will be excited to try those out. Right guys, thank you so much for watching. Make sure that you comment below, make sure that you like the video, make sure that you share it around as well. Follow me on all my other social media platforms, which are all linked in the description below, and we will see you down here next time. Okay, I don't need to start packing yet, but I should probably let the young lady know. Okay, see you next time.